This is a TVLine Grey's Anatomy exclusive.
Camilla, welcome.
Thank you.
It's been a few years.
I think it's been two years.
You're here at Comic-Con promoting the Tomb Raider game, the third one in the trilogy, which is titled
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Is this your swan song as Tomb Raider?
It better not be. What have you heard?
It's a trilogy, so doesn't that mean that it's ends?
It is a trilogy, but I guess you never know. I don't know. It might be my last one. I've sort of had it in my head that it could be the last, so it feels a little bit swanny, but you never know.
So I didn't play the first two games.
What?
Can I just jump into the third game, or do I need to watch the other two games to know what's going on?
Actually, I think that you can just jump into the third game. I think they set it up so that you can kind of get some backstory and then you're kind of fine. And I'll send it to you. You'll be forced to play it.
I may not even play the third one. I'm not a big gamer.
I feel like you're not going to.
I'm not a big gamer. It sounds great though.
It's actually kind of easy to play. I can say that because obviously your skills are a 0 is what I'm getting.
That's what you're saying, okay. Yes, it's true.
My skills are a little bit above a 0, but still terrible, and I can play the game.
Okay.
With lots of help, like on beginner mode.
What can you say about the about Lara in this third game?
She is facing the Mayan apocalypse. She accidentally sets off the end of the world. Kind of a big deal. A little bit stressful. Yes.
Do you see a lot of similarities between Lara and Jo?
Yes.
Let's discuss them.
Lara, very kind of early in her life, lost both of her parents, and Jo obviously didn't grow up with parents. And I think that they both sort of, when it comes to pain in their lives, they try and suppress it. But I think they're also both tenacious and strong women. But obviously Lara kills lots of people, and hopefully Jo doesn't kill a lot of people in her job.
She has killed some people, hasn't she? She's lost patience.
I thought you meant murdered people. I'm like, well, what do you know from the Grey's writers that I don't know that will happen next season? I mean, not on purpose.
Yeah, accidental. Manslaughter.
Hopefully not even manslaughter. Yes, I'm sure some people have died on Jo's watch though.
I really enjoyed Jo and Alex's wedding. I thought that was a really fun episode.
Me too.
And unusual for Grey's to have a finale that didn't involve mass murder or catastrophe. Yes. It was nice. Was it a fun episode to shoot, being outdoors and out of the studio?
It was. We shot it at Calamigos Ranch in Malibu, which is absolutely stunning. But what's funny is we actually have shot other weddings there, and the wedding that took place right next door, but obviously was decorated completely differently, was Bailey's wedding. So when Justin and I were like walking on set, we're like, didn't we get drunk at that bar together and then break into a hotel room? And then we're getting married like right next door. So it was trippy going back because my first season was season 9 and we shot there. So it was interesting going back and then shooting the wedding there too. And we did like a ferry boat thing, and so there was tons of different locations, and that's always fun because usually we're, you know, just in the hospital.
Was it satisfying for you to see the, you know, sort of this relationship come full circle in a way and finally for them to tie the knot?
Yes. I remember sitting down with Krista Vernoff last summer and they weren't together. And I still didn't know if maybe she would have something with DeLuca. Possibly. I had no idea if maybe that would come back around. And the first thing that she said to me is, this is the season of Alex and Jo getting back together and being solid. And I was like, yes. I was so relieved. And then she told me at the end of the season that they would be married. And I just thought it's a long time coming. I'm not sure if other characters, I mean, I guess other characters have taken that long to get married. Like, you know, McDreamy and Meredith, but it seemed like a long time coming for them too.
Was the final episode bittersweet though, because it was also the final episode for Sarah Drew and Jessica Capshaw?
It was. I think it was nice though for them too that we were out in such a beautiful place, and so it felt like a really lovely send-off. And of course those girls are so hugely talented and amazing that I'm excited to see what they do next.
I'm a big fan of Krista Vernoff, her writing, and I'm so glad she's back on the show. And the show definitely had a much lighter feel and tone to it last season. Does that translate like off the set too, when it's not just all, you know, always so dark and depressing?
Yeah. I think that even Just Night, you know, it's one of Justin's favorite seasons because we got to do so much fun stuff. Like, we called it the Weed-isode, where they, you know, all smoked pot. Or no, they ate pop cookies. Yes. Like episodes like that, and then just even there was like a romantic comedy feel to different parts. Even me sleeping at the beginning with glasses was really fun to film. So right from the beginning, kind of set the tone for the season. But then of course there are moments where you can't help but take things home, like Matthew Morrison. Those episodes, you can ask my fiance. He was like, "You need a glass of wine at the end of filming," because it was very intense.
But there was also that sort of infusion of humor even in that storyline with the episode where he falls out of the bed and then hits his head, and then was a little...
I mean, I liked one of my favorite moments in that episode is where Jo herself laughs. Like,
right, that's the one.
Yeah. That is kind of like around in the second episode of that.
Yeah.
Yes, of that storyline. She laughs. Yeah, there are still those moments that, you know, that she was able to infuse some humor into, for sure. Yeah.
So you start shooting this week, right?
We do. So some of the cast will be in Seattle. So anyone that's living in Seattle, they will be there.
So shooting more exteriors.
Shooting more exteriors, which I think was really amazing. It was the first season that I had been on that they had done that for. I know they've done it in the past.
Yeah.
But then watching the season, those were really lovely moments where you saw like them outside or walking in Seattle, and so definitely some of the cast will be there next week.
You know, I forgot how long we went with just being stuck in that hospital. Is like when you finally got out of the hospital, it's like, oh, right, Seattle, that's where the show is set.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference. And then you can, like, you know, sort of bank, like, 6 episodes worth of exteriors or even more.
Right,
and spread them out.
Right. Also, for us as actors, some of us had never been to Seattle. So just kind of imagining, like, oh, this is the city that they live in. Because in the evening, once we were done shooting, all of us would go to dinner. And we would just walk the city and find somewhere. And so that was a really fun, like a bonding experience for all of us, but also just to be able to see the city and like, oh, this is where our characters live. This is what it feels like to be out in the evening and go out to dinner. Maybe this is what they do, and these are the kind of bars here. Like, culturally, just what it felt like, because it's an amazing city. It's gorgeous.
So I understand you know some details about the new season, season 15. First of all, season 15.
I know! Amazing!
How many seasons stuff are you? 8?
This is my
9?
7th. This is my 7th season on the show. Oh my God. I know.
Which for most people is a long run for a show by itself.
I know. Yeah, it's incredible. And every time, you know, we air and all the fans are still so passionate, excited, I never take it for granted. I always call us a unicorn because I'm not sure I'll ever have the experience ever again of being on a show like that.
So when we left off a couple seconds ago, you were going to tell me everything about about the new season.
I think I'm probably allowed to tease that we pick up right where we left off.
Like literally?
Pretty much, yeah. There's not like a massive time jump this season. And I think I've heard rumors that Jo might find her specialty this season, which is really exciting and I feel like is a long time coming, and I'm interested to see what it is.
So those are the things you're allowed to say. Now let's go to the things you're not allowed to say.
You know what, honestly, I haven't even received the first script.
Why? When is the table read?
The table read is on Thursday, so we'll probably get it Monday or Tuesday.
And do you read it before the table read, or do you just go fresh into the table read? And
so every other season except last season, we got it at the table read. So it had like a different... It's funny because at those table reads, you're reading it and you genuinely have no idea where something is going. So when you get to the point where you kiss somebody else, you're like, and the whole table, it's almost like a play, like everyone's so into it. But getting it beforehand really does help us, because then we can sort of go through it and wrap our minds around the storyline and everything before we get to the table read. I don't know which one's more fun. I mean, they're both different ways of working.
We're seeing, as the show goes on, more like origin episodes for characters.
Yes.
Like childhood, hometown, that kind of thing. Are we going to get that for Jo, do you think?
I'm hoping... The one thing that I do hope this season is I do hope that at some point Jo does sort of find out who her family are. I mean, I feel like that's the final mystery behind her that she doesn't know, you know, any information on. And so me personally, I would love to see that this season, but last season we just discovered her ex-husband and who that was. So I don't know if that's something that's going to happen, but personally that's what I would love to happen.
Last question.
Okay.
I feel like I'm ready to see Meredith in a romance again. And I know that's sometimes controversial to say because, you know, Meredith is a strong woman on her own. She doesn't need a man. I agree with all of that.
Yes.
I would like, Ellen Pompeo is really good playing a romantic storyline.
Yes.
I'm ready to see that.
I agree with you, and I didn't necessarily always feel that way, but at the end of this season, she seemed very sad about Alex going and possibly losing a person. And it made me think that maybe she is ready to have more people in her life. And so if that's a romantic love interest, I'm all for it. Plus, I love sexy Meredith.
And also, I thought she had great chemistry with Scott Speedman.
I did too.
I don't quite understand why. That is a couple I want to see more of.
I know.
Make that happen.
Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and ask, specifically request, Speedman.
I think
Speedman.
I think he'd do it.
Text him.
I think he'd do a 5-episode arc.
We need more than a 5-episode arc for Meredith.
You start with a 5-episode arc, and then you get him in there, and he's like, "Oh, this is kind of a cool job. This is nice. I like the people."
He did. I heard.
Did he have a nice time?
Yeah.
All right, so that's your marching orders. Go back.
Okay.
And talk to
make
Krista.
Speedman happen.
Make Speedman happen.
Okay, I'm gonna work on it.
I know the fans want
my homework
too.
Do you think so?
No, I get that question a lot. Like, are they bringing him back? Yes, it's time.
He was one of the first people that she really had that like
spark
with again. Okay, Speedman.